You are awesome. You are beautiful. You're hardworking. You deserve everything that you've ever gotten in life. And I bet those words alone stuck out enough for you to want to pay attention because your ego drives you. Just like it drives me. That's just like the battles I deal with. That's everything I'm going through is all ego related. Nice, I have a Cardinal. You can't tell it's a Cardinal. It wasn't your typical red Cardinal, but it was an all brown Cardinal, one I've never actually seen before. But as I'm doing this and I'm trying to prep for what I'm trying to say or what I'm trying to do, there's some blackbirds, which are my definite symbols, a prairie dog, and now this Cardinal. So, I mean, obviously I'm supposed to continue on with this message, but it's just a matter of fine tuning it. And basically the message is your ego. Past couple of days I've tried doing some videos that were related and I just felt like it wasn't right. It wasn't what I was trying to hit on. I kind of drag it out a little bit longer than I should, but main thing I want to point out and get across about the ego is that it drives us all, like myself included. That's why I stopped doing the videos in previous, because of the fact that I felt like I was trying to be too much on the mountaintop. Like, hey, look at me, look at what I can do. And I've said it before, but it's just everything I go against. In fact, most of the religious leaders, most of the political leaders, elected officials, they all basically seem to have that persona about them that is centered around their ego. And that's everything I'm trying to not be. Just like everything in social media, I mean, it's all about the comedic factor. And those who are trying to be comedians or trying to be out there in this kind of way, like on social media, famous, usually seem to be derived in the ego. Like it's always a look at me type of stuff. And don't get me wrong, some can be funny, some go with it, but it's always about, hey, look at me, look at what I can accomplish, look at what I can do. And ultimately that's life, period. But it takes over everybody. It takes over the religion, it takes over the stories, the myths, the fairy tales. The ego wants that literal factition to be created into literalism. They want that intangibility to become tangible, and is basically just hearing a story and wanting it to be exactly what that story is, because that's our logic side. That's our side of the mind that wants to constantly be 100% real and nothing otherwise. And that's what we let control us, is our logic. And in this day and age right now, it's all about intuition if you're striving in this direction. But for the most part, everyone's striving in the present moment, but in the wrong way. Kind of just like, what's funny, what's going to make me money, what's going to be the get rich quick. It's always centered around right now. Like, we've developed zero patience in the course of the social media game. So ultimately, a lot of the lessons that I've endured were patience, a lot of patience related lessons. Without the patience, you can't develop the happiness I think that you probably may be searching for. Everything's outside of you satisfaction. Like, you're looking for something outside of you to make you happy. You want that tangible material that you think you're going to get and is going to do something for your emotion of happiness. And in reality, I feel like I got a big chunk there and it didn't do anything. It just made me more miserable because I got most of everything I wanted, and then I just kind of pissed it away, basically, you could say. Now I'm building back up to the top, but again, it's a battle. Lessons learned, they were endured for a purpose. I feel that way now for sure. There was always a reason for every single turn and cranny that I had to go through in order to get to where I'm at today, to be in this point, to even getting to a point of where I can talk about myself in this way. Because I definitely wasn't the individual who would do such a thing. I mean, I was always driven towards the outlandish, like the risk-taking, the danger element. It's always been my desire to want to go that route versus being stable and steady. And it's had its ups and it's had its downs. And I am thankful for all the little quirkies that it gave me, because without it, I wouldn't be who I am today. So I don't dread it. I don't regret it. But there is a level of moderacy. Like, you have to be moderate in everything that you do. Otherwise, there is that addictive characteristic that wants to come out in us. It's just crazy how much it takes over, and you don't even see it until you actually look outside yourself. Because until that point, you're always just me, now. How can I make me happy? Who's making me angry? Why are they making me angry? This isn't fair. It's not my... Just too many things that the ego surround yourself in your daily, and you don't even realize it. It's like a big fog. I mean, from our political leaders to, our ego-driven president, to movie stars and the people surrounding them who make them feel to the level that they're at, and then to the people that are surrounding those stars who are so addicted to the information surrounding these certain individuals. I mean, it's the same for religion, it's the same for the mythology, for those who were part of that, like in Greek mythology or Roman mythology. They took it a little too literal, and they put themselves outside of the picture and relied on these fairy tales, stories, myths, legends in order to satisfy some spiritual connection that's trying to be made, in my opinion. You are connected to these stories and myths because there's a purpose behind them. The person who created most of these things, the persons, they all strive around a story that identifies the individual overcoming the ego. Not only overcoming the ego, but the environment we live in, like the stars, the earth, nature, the animals, all these myths and stories and legends, fairy tales, everything you can think of centralized around the individual, but it's told in a third-party form, like it's something else that is going to be coming, or that you got to wait for this something to save you. There's always that third-party outside factor that these stories give off, and it's never really understood that it's you. It's a story of you're overcoming this ego, this beast, this dragon, this serpent. Ancient stories will discuss the dragon and the serpent, one being the belly crawler and one being the flying belly crawler, you could call it, or reptile, but animal, basically, the beast. That's why Aleister Crowley called himself the beast, is because it was centered around the ego. Do as thou wilt, and thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. That one statement states that everything you want to do, you go do it, but it doesn't matter what it is, you just pursue it. What it's going to make you happy, you go do it. Doesn't matter what that happiness may come from. So those are the few things that I want to go over, all ego related. I want to make it quick so it's still relatable. I'm trying to get some pieces out, but realize that every story that you hear, these legends, myths, tales, religious stories, articles that are talking about a third party something, more times than none, if you look deep into those stories, you can realize that those are stories related to you and how you should be awakening or brightening or lightening to this new era of understanding, to where you create a happiness within you without having to find it out externally from you. It's not outside of you, it's inside of you. It's the thought process. Only you can make you happy, only you can make you angry. That's the ultimate story behind it all. Shooting for 8 minutes. Thanks for listening, and hopefully we can make some better videos. Trying to figure out what to talk about. One of my battles I have is that I started these videos with the purpose of showing you all what I knew, how I knew it, what got me there. And you need to learn it so you can understand it like me, and everything that I was trying to talk about was all ego related. So I figured that out. So now my battle is, how do I construct all this information of what I'm trying to project into this storyline of videos per se, rather than being worried about how I look or am presented from a look at me type of point of view. I really want to just enlighten you. I want to awaken the individual. There's so many topics that I want to cover that burn a fire under me, but then I don't want to get involved in them because I don't want to get tied down to a certain element, whether it be political, religious. All I'm concerned about is awakening you, the individual, to understand a little bit better. And so maybe slowly but surely a ball can get into motion of understanding that we're just living in this ego-filled world, and everything is surrounded with ego, like your fears, your wants, your desires, your role in society. Everything is surrounded by the ego, and how you appear, how you're presented, what you're afraid of, what others think. Just think about it a little bit and understand that your ego is your main character in this world, and more times than none, when you separate yourself from the ego is when you start finding your spiritual happiness. Just give it a shot, think about it a little bit, marinate in it, serenade yourself in it. Let's see how we can do with it. Let's see where these videos go. I'm still trying to figure them out as we go. It's just getting harder because I'm not a one topic type of guy. I'm more